Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US stocks for the 21st of July. So on Tuesday we normally cover Apple, Facebook and Amazon. So today I'm going to add Square. So out of all the banks, well, all the sort of new disruptive banks, we're going to focus on Square and also PayPal as well. So that will be the two sort of financial markets that we'll be looking at in that regard. We'll also be looking at a HDF as well. That's an Indian bank as an ADR on the in the US market, so we'll also take that on as well. But Square would be the most profitable basically bank on the market. It's got so much potential with its Cash App and other services as well, sort of leaving the others behind a bit. So anyway, with Facebook here, I counted 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 3, ABC for 4, expand and flatten, up for 5. So it looks like the markets are going to continue up. So that means that this fifth wave here is going to end up being possibly wave 1 and wave 2, 3, 4 and 5, that kind of thing here. So I can't confirm that until we take that high out here. Right, so this leaves us at a medium level here of 250. Let's just go in and take a closer look at this. So I'm thinking like this here, but this here, it can be counted as corrective, and we could end up seeing a move coming back down here for this before heading higher than that as well. So I'm just a little bit unsure. I never really buy before a large number, and it's obvious, isn't it, with these tops coming into play here. Yet it is edging higher each time here, so I respect that. But at the same time, if we were looking for a setup here, we would look for, it would have need to have that coming back and testing that support before we can go long there. Of course, you can go long here, and if it's a portfolio stock that you're holding, well, it's not a problem then, by all means, go and buy it. But as a trade, then we need to manage our risk reward. We need to manage our exposure, and our exposure comes with that initial stop loss in the first step. So it's nice to have a large number like this here as a support, because it's going to attract all the orders, and if it's sitting coming up to that, there's going to be sell positions there. But once it gets up there and comes back and sits on it, then it's being tested, and then all you need to do is buy a new high or two, and you'll be on your way at that point. So that's what we're looking for at that point. Okay, so let's move on to Apple. Let's go and have a look at Apple. I'll just go back to my daily chart, because when I open the other chart, that's where it'll open onto. So let's find Apple. So Apple still appears to be going higher as well. There's a lot of stocks around the world that are approaching their third wave. I mean, I'm in Australia, and I see that with BHP, FMG, their iron ore stocks and resource stocks. But, they're important to put into the mix as such, because, they will turn as well. And they all kind of move together in a way. There'll just be sort of, on a move to the upside, there'll just be really, 2 or 3 different types of patterns that will be occurring across global markets in different stocks. And each stock's got its own personality, like, obviously they're all the same to a point. They are stocks and they are traded, and they create patterns, just like us human beings. We're all the same, but at the same time we're uniquely different, and that's because of a lot of influences for each individual, and that's the same with each stock. We've got all those individual players playing that stock, which creates its own patterns and behaviors and so on. But anyway, apart from that, the same thing applies here as well. We're at 4. It's good to be at large numbers, because there's always some sort of pattern that occurs at them that you can find as the support. So this one down here did its thing, and this March low, this was like the S&P 500. So we'd counted the 5 waves down as wave C for the S&P 500, and all I was waiting for was the first impulse wave to the upside. And with the S&P 500, it was also at the medium level here as well, 2,500. So we went long in this space here. So we waited for confirmation, that we had support on the level, and that's what we did here. And this is the same thing over here. If you're going to buy in here, well, then you may as well wait to get it over this side of the fence, and the same with here as well. Anything can happen in this space here, but what we look for here is it may even pull back down into this space here first, or it could pull up here first and then have a move in here. But we just, the same thing again, we want to see it sit on that particular level there as well. In this case here, we're still looking for wave 3 here, wave 4 here, and wave 5 moving to the upside here. So on the 4-hour chart here, I've labeled this a third wave here because it's just extending so far. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for the third wave here. And once again, with this fourth wave here as well, it's quite possible for it to push up a bit higher and then come down here as well, and then push up here, or just push straight up from here. I don't know. So we'll just have to leave that for the time being. Also, to this wave 1 here, this blue wave 1 was quite short. So this is more like this will probably end up being a classic trading levels pattern across here, which is the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, and then an ABC pattern, and then we go up from that point. So you can buy it here, but you'd have to leave the stop well out of the way here. Otherwise, we'll just wait for it to mature across this level and then pick it up from that point there. Okay, so Amazon. Let's have a look at Amazon. So I'll just go to the daily chart here. I'm also putting this in a third wave here, as in line with I call it in line with resource stocks. Actually, I know that's a bit of a long shot, but it's all the little things you notice in the market. So once again, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. Nice strong third wave up here, a fourth wave here, and a fifth wave. So Amazon is obviously one of the stronger stocks and leading stocks. So in this case here, it's likely that we just push straight up into the third wave here and then come back for the fourth and then up for the fifth like this, which will take us up higher to the next medium level here, up at 4,000 for that. And the other interesting thing here, if I go to the 4-hour chart here, with the 4-hour chart here let's just go back over it again here. We'll just take that away from this wave 2 low here to the top of wave 3 here. That gives us our 38.2% right on the nose here. So this is just likely, and the other stocks are likely just to just continue up to the upside here. So we could be looking at 3,400 to 3,500 in the first instance here for this market. It's for Amazon. Okay, let's go over and have a look at Square. So I'll just put it on the daily chart first. Let's just get a bit more of a picture in here for this. So with Square here, it's much the same as the S&P 500 in the sense that, and also the same as the banks really, when you have a look at the US banks, their B wave was lower than this move up here, than the wave 3 here. So it makes a nice A, B, and C here. In the S&P, of course, and in a lot of the other markets, the banks were the ones that had the low B wave. The other markets had the high B wave up here and then came down in this space here and then pushed up. So this is typical of a bank move, but you know, you compare this trend here to, you compare this trend to any of the US banks, you know, they're all still down here, aren't they? You know, BAC, Goldman's and all those guys. Yes, they could catch up and do their thing and keep an eye on them. You know, that's important. But over the longer term, these are the Square and PayPal, they're the disruptors, you know, and HDF, which is the Indian bank that I mentioned as well. But I haven't brought that on board just yet. I'm aware of that because I do the Indian market as well, or the Nifty. So, and the HDF I think takes up like something like 10% of that market. But anyway, that's another story. The only thing I don't understand here is I don't understand if I've got wave 1 and 2 in here, or this makes wave 1 and 2. So I need to resolve that there. But otherwise, I'm pretty comfortable with this in terms of wave 1 and 2 here. 1 and 2 and 5, well, 5 waves up to here. So this one you can see a bit clearer, which is 1 and 2 in here, and 3 here and 4 here, and we're going up for wave 5 here. Will it go up to the medium level here, 150? Well, probably if it gets a nice support on the top of group 1 here. So from 100 we've got that's a major level, then we've got minor levels 1, 2 and 3 that make up group 1. If we get tested support on top of this, on top of 130 here, the top of group 1, well then straight away we look at the 150, the next level. So it's a Fibonacci number, it's a price ratio 1, 2, 3, 5 and 8 up here. So yeah, if we get tested support here, we'll end up at the 150. And the other important thing about this too is that when you get support on top of group 1, a tested support on top of number 3, I just keep things really simple like ABC 1, 2, 3. So you get support on top of number 3 here, a tested support there. What that does psychologically, it pulls all the orders up to the number 5, and they start to leave this number. They start to lose hope in this number being the sticky number at that point. So number 3, the number 3 by itself, like 1's important, 2's important, 3's important, every single number's important, and they've all got their own little personality. And the more that I try to draw people's attention to the price, a lot of good traders will say everything you need to know is in the price, but you know, what the hell does that mean, you know? But the trading levels, what they do is they start to bring your attention more to the price and the behavior, the price pattern, which is the volume and the behavior, to the price point as well, because people think in certain ways. But yeah, anyway, that's just another story. But yeah, so this can move up to the 150 without too much problem, but we would need a classic trading levels pattern sitting on the 130 there as a tested support, and then we can look at wave 4 and wave 5 at that point. So what we're trying to do is this particular pattern here is pretty much a global pattern that we're looking for markets to top out in. Now there's some markets that can have this here as their top in this regard here. So some of the markets are quite clear for that. I know the ones in Australia, but they're not much good to people that are sitting in the US. They'll go, well, where is Australia anyway? Is that a state? So anyway, okay, so that's that. I think I've got just on the hourly chart here, I think I updated. Okay, so see, this is it here. So what I was thinking here is that when we've already got this move here in 3 waves here, so that's corrective. It doesn't, this being corrective here can still be wave A, and then over here for wave B, and then it can come down for wave C here. It can come down for wave C and then move up there. If it does that, well then that's a buy at that point. Okay, but otherwise we'll just go 1, 2. Well, this is not finished for 3, 4 and 5 heading up that way there somewhere. So if it comes back into the 110 area, then pick it up for a portfolio buy, because otherwise we can't pick it up. You can pick it up on the top of group 1 here, but then you probably be better off as a trade and getting out at 150 and using that money to shift over into a portfolio trade, because we'll buy it at this number 4 here when it pulls back, and it probably won't pull back that far. It will probably be up there somewhere, so I'll better move that up there. 3 always becomes a really good support too. If a market's coming down to number 3, you can expect it to bounce. Have no mistake about it. So if I was shorting down here, so I'll look at 130, I would be out at 130, but I don't get out at 130. I start getting out at 133, which is in here. That's where I start getting out. Because that's also subgroup 1, the other 3 in there. So you've got minor group 1 here, and then you've got all the sub-levels between, say, 30 and 40 here. You would have the same numbers. So all you need to remember is 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8. So 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8 here. That's all it is. It's just those numbers, and then they're just expanded out by the power of 10. Alrighty, that's enough yakking, and there's Square. So next week I'll add PayPal to this, and then we'll be doing five stocks in each video. Alrighty, thanks for tuning in. Cheers.